If I had a nickel for every time Ramona Flowers was called a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, I'd have enough to pay off my student loans. Scratch that. If I had a penny for every time Ramona Flowers was featured in a video about Manic Pixie Dream Girls, but never addressed in any sort of way, I'd have enough to pay off my parents' loans. What's good, hookers? I'm a literal nerd, and today we're on Trope Trial, the show where I, your favorite asshole, present to you a character who has been falsely accused of being a certain trope, and show you, the ladies and gentlemen of the viewership, the evidence for why they aren't. The defendant today is Ramona Flowers, the Amazon Ninja delivery girl of Scott Pilgrim's dreams. Ms. Flowers has been falsely accused of being a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, or MPDG for short. Like many negative female-specific tropes, MPDG has been needlessly applied to way too many heckin' characters. And it's gotten to the point where its creator has disavowed the term, simply because it was used to criticize every #quirky girl in fiction. My client is one of those, and I will prove in this video that Ramona Victoria Flowers is not a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, but simply a girl with issues.
What about Ramona Flowers?
You know her? Tell me now.
Okay, if you're watching this video, there's a 90% chance you know who Ramona Flowers is, but for the uninitiated, she is one of the main characters in the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World franchise, serving as the title character's main love interest. Her persona is that of a sullen, taciturn, but in reality she's witty, strong in her beliefs, tough, and sarcastic. However, she has 7 evil exes that Scott Pilgrim has to defeat in order for them to be together. Those are the bare bones synopses of Ramona's character and the plot of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Without spoiling too much, that is. I suggest watching the movie and checking out the comic if you're interested. They're both awesome. Alright, so in order to determine if RF is an MPDG, we have to define the latter. The term's creator, Nathan Rabin, described it as, "The Manic Pixie Dream Girl exists solely in the fevered imaginations of sensitive writer-directors to teach their broodingly soulful young men to embrace life and its infinite mysteries and adventures." The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is an all-or-nothing proposition. Audiences either want to marry her instantly, despite the Manic Pixie Dream Girl being, you know, a fictional character, or they want to commit grievous bodily harm against them and their immediate family. As for me, well, let's just say I'm not going to propose to Dunt's psychotically chipper waitress in the sky anytime soon. Damn! In a follow-up article where he apologized for the term's creation, he says, "That day in 2007, I remember watching Elizabethtown and being distracted by the preposterousness of its heroine, Claire. Dunt's psychotically bubbly stewardess seemed to belong in some magical, otherworldly realm, hence the Pixie, offering up her phone number to strangers and drawing whimsical maps to help her man find his way. And as Dunst cavorted across the screen, I thought also of Natalie Portman in Garden State, a similarly carefree nymphette who is the accessory to Zach Braff's character development. It's an archetype I realize that taps into a particular male fantasy of being saved from depression and ennui by a fantasy woman who sweeps in like a glittery breeze to save you from yourself, then disappear once her work is done. Insert footage of Elizabethtown and or Garden State. Can I go home now? No, bitch! Because from here we can point out some key traits. The first being a girl who teaches a brooding male lead how to embrace life. Simple enough. The second is having a psychotically chipper, or what the kids nowadays call #quirky personality. Quack! Wait, you mean to tell me they don't say that? Quack! Am I fucking old? Quack! The third is that they are an accessory to the leading male, meaning they have no goals or desires independent of them. They only exist to serve him and his development, not their own. Before we start, I'll be using the film as my primary source, since that's the version of Ramona that keeps getting called a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. But I'll also be using the comic to supplement my points. As such, there'll be spoilers for both. I also want to say this isn't me calling out anyone in particular. Like, trust me, I'm not trying to get ratioed on Twitter. I'm just simply here to correct this false notion that Ramona Flowers is a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Got it? Good. Now we can get to tackling this bitch.
No, why would I get fat?
Bread makes you fat.
Bread makes you fat?
So based on the first point, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl's existence in the story is dependent on their more important male love interest. They cannot exist independently, as their purpose is to teach their sullen male love interest how to embrace life. So we must ask ourselves, does Ramona Flowers teach Scott Pilgrim how to live life to its fullest? Kind of. Exhibit A for, ah crap, this isn't going well for me. Let me explain. After Gideon kills Scott, he ends up in his desert subspace highway Ramona used in the first act of the film. She arrives to tell him about her past with Gideon and how he quite literally has a way into her head via microchip. She then tells him,
Maybe I'm not the one you should have been fighting for.
From this last nugget of wisdom, Scott learns to fight for himself and literally gains the power of self-respect in the form of a fiery katana. Hot. This is meant to be a subversion of the fighting for the damsel in distress trope that's normally seen in video games. As it pertains to Ramona being point 1 of the MPDG checklist, yeah. Granted, it is Scott who came to the conclusion himself, Ramona still helped him. As such, she meets the first requirement of being a Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
We have blueberry, raspberry, ginseng, sleepy time, green tea with lemon, green tea with lemon and honey, liver disaster, ginger with honey, ginger without honey, vanilla almond, white truffle, blueberry chamomile, vanilla walnut, constant comment, and Earl Grey.
Did you make some of those up?
The most obvious part of being a Manic Pixie Dream Girl is the Manic Pixie part. She's bubbly, she's happy, she's so unique and interesting, totally not like anyone else ever seen before. But is that Ramona? Short answer, no. The few times I've seen people explain why Ramona is an MPDG, they cite her role in the story and her 2000s alt-girl fashion. Wow, she dyes her hair every week and a half, that's so quirky. Oh my god, she wears goggles. Classic Manic Pixie Dream Girl aesthetic choice. Everybody knows they wear goggles, right? Except... Objection! Sorry, I had to throw at least one of those in here. Exhibit B for... Baby, I'm turning this bitch around! This movie doesn't treat Ramona's hair as something special, or weird, or anything really. Hell, when Scott treats her almost weekly hair dye routine as something weird, he's then told that he's overreacting. No one else says anything about it because Ramona is far from the quirkiest character in this movie. Exhibit C for... fuck this bit. This cast is quirkier than every Tumblr user combined, especially the men. Young Neil, the band's first fan, is such a fucking brain-dead dork that when asked what do you play, like in regards to musical instruments, he responds with
Zelda, Tetris. That's kind of a big question.
Next is Scott Pilgrim, the main character himself, whose idea of small talk is him sharing Pac-Man trivia. Yeah, nice child, the underage ex-girlfriend, because yes, we do have one of those, thank you very much. Dresses up like Ramona. Evil X number 2, Lucas, is a pretentious as fuck skateboarding movie star. And Evil X number 3, Todd, has psychic powers because he's a vegan. This movie and subsequently the comic are like the Earthbound of comic-based media. It's goofy as fuck, and Ramona is the least goofy out of these goobers. She and Kim, the drummer of Scott's band, are typically the straight men of the group, which is, kind of ironic if you're, picking up what I'm putting down. Heh, get it? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, tickle, tickle. Anyways, as I stated earlier, Ramona is deadpan, rude, sarcastic, and strong in her beliefs. She will tell it like she sees it, whether you like it or not. So now, ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, we must ask ourselves, is Ramona Flowers bubbly, quirky, and psychotically chipper? No. I don't even think we see her laugh, or dance, or do anything overly cartoony in the movie that doesn't match its tone. She is otherworldly in a sense, I'll give you that, but that's more of a play-on / subversion of the dream girl archetype. You know, the perfect love interest who literally came from his dreams.
Am I dreaming?
Even then, she explains that she appears in his dreams because he has a super convenient subspace highway that she uses to make her deliveries. Remember that thing I said about Earthbound?
Can't wait to hear it when it's finished.
Finished?
Aight, bitches, moment of truth. This is the tiebreaker. This will determine whether or not Ramona is a Manic Pixie Dream Girl, or a girl who just so happens to appear in his dreams. Like I said earlier, the MPDG has no development of her own and only exists for the male leads. So now our final question. Does Ramona only exist to develop Scott as a character? Not really. Yeah, like stated earlier, she helps him in his development, but he helps her in return. In the film, she's about to leave before Scott stops her. She's sad because she came to the wrong conclusion about herself.
I'm tired of people getting hurt because of me.
You see, Scott and Ramona are meant to be mirrors that reflect each other's problems. Both lead on their romantic partners and leave a trail of broken hearts in their wake. Ramona is no better than Scott and vice versa. Well, Scott is worse in the movie, but in the comics they're equally shit. This is best exemplified in the after-party scene, where Ramona confronts Scott about his exes. Ramona may not be the most developed character in the film, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have an arc. She learns to try again at love, instead of running away from her problems like she did prior to the film's events.
Is that seriously the end of the story?
With all the evidence weighed in, we find the defendant not guilty. You silly geese! You thought Ramona Flowers was your MPDG, but it was I Juan! I'm your Manic Pixie Dream Guy, motherfuckers! I rolled around in money because I could. I have a broccoli iPhone cover. Why? Because I'm not like other boys. I'm a fucking whore. I'm the happy-go-lucky psychotic lunatic who's just so damn happy all the time. And guess what? I got good taste in music too. You ever heard of Weezer, motherfucker? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if I taught you something new. Let me know which character you'd like for me to cover next, as well as your thoughts in the comments. As always, my sources are in the description below. There is something I forgot to mention in my last video, but shortly after meeting them, I became the 21st member of the Gaming Master Guys. Honestly, I don't really know what to say about that, except thank you so much for that, John. And I can't wait to record with you and the others in the near future. And 3 weeks from now, I'll be putting a certain alien science experiment on trial. Can you guess who it is? Why you gotta go and make things so complicated?